On the red side, they have even less flexibility, so things are really going to be tough for blue here in game 2.
And having to ban that Zilean now against white. They take the rumble away from Acorn, and they're trying to take away some of those comfort picks, but have we seen everything from white yet? That's a big question.
Oh, for sure not. I mean, Zilean, Alistar expected bans from blue. Now they're on the purple side.
Yeah.
And also Samsung White, they can just look for these target bans. Thresh against Hard, it's his best support by far. You have, again, the Rumble against Acorn, who is known as his legendary Rumble player when he bursted onto the pro scene. He only played Rumble, and he was actually a one-trick pony in that case with the Rumble pick here, so you ban it away from him as well. And again, Tristana ban. They did it last time. I thought they did it to get him on Twitch, but it seems not.
The Rise left up, but the Maokai taken away. I think that stings a little bit for Acorn there. What does he decide to choose?
Well, we did look at the Acorn, which champion he played or plays.
Yeah.
No Rise in summer.
Right.
No Rise so far during Worlds. Dade is normally the Rise player in the mid lane, and we haven't seen them played yet Worlds. So I feel like that's why Samsung White can take the Maokai and say, do you want to play the Rise or not?
Yeah, I mean, making sure that Acorn doesn't have Maokai is also incredibly key. Maokai has been such a boon for Samsung Blue.
Right. Post
20 minutes when they can find those team fights. I mean, at the moment, White is just this incredibly versatile force that can do almost anything. I feel like they're almost trapped in a picking Rise, even if it's for Dade. They just don't necessarily have to pick it yet because White has already picked their top laner.
And I like the Janna pickup here if they do lock it in, because she's really been one of the most contested supports, especially when Thresh is
really
back.
good picks there.
Yes, you have such a good dual lane now. As long as you coordinate the shield with their traits from Lucian, you have one of the most dominant 2v2 lanes. You can also fast push towers, which you might see Blue try to do. So they're looking more mid-game focused right now. And look on the side of Samsung White. Suddenly they're looking towards the late game.
Good to see that Kog'Maw was hovered right now for pawn, but they're going to switch it around here. That Lucian being taken away. Grabbed up for Deft here. Not as Corki though. Doublelift very outspoken about that Corki play for Deft, but he feels like lane bullying is what Corki can do, and what Lucian can do very well is going to be his lock-in.
Well, I feel like with the Lucian pick, they're more heavily trying to starve Imp and push him. I mean, maybe push him onto Vayne at this point, or even just make him play Corki because they don't think it's his style. So much of Imp's great AD carry play has been about his movement, not necessarily his skill shots, where Deft would definitely be the skill shot in the AD carry. They pick it because Corki plus Lucian are really the two best AD carries left right now. I just want to see how Imp performs on it. That's going to be the key.
And also, we often see Corki being locked in when you want, again, a physical damage mid laner, so you have some magic damage from the Corki, and just not all physical damage all around, because Maokai is not enough magic damage himself. So it opens up for a Yasuo or a Jace pick now for pawn in the mid lane, which we might see, because that is two of his most played champions, two of the best champions, and they fit the combo already. When you have the Maokai to set up a Yasuo, or you have the Jace with the poke from a Corki already.
Also, I really wonder how much spirit was broken that last game on Lee Sin, because if it's available, I would expect him to pick it almost immediately. However, with those two lock-ins and the two things they're hovering right now, it would be an incredibly mid-game focused team comp from Samsung Blue. It's something that rose to heavy prominence a little bit earlier. The Rise still makes a fair bit of sense, and it is still a pretty mid-game heavy composition. Blue just wants to make sure they don't get steamrolled this time.
Exactly. They do have some good late game. We know Rise is an absolute monster in the late game, and Kha'Zix is the best late game jungler in terms of team fighting. So they do have fairly good mid game, and they have the late game already covered as well, just with these two picks. And now for, if it's going to be a Rise mid lane, that's actually smart by Blue to pick the Rise early here before we saw the lock-in from Samsung White in the mid lane, because Yasuo is extremely weak against the Rise. So they lock it in here and therefore force a Jace pick, which I don't think Samsung White is too worried about.
Oh no, we have to play Jace again.
Yeah, again, you have the Jace Corki now for this mid-game. Insane siege and poke. You have the Morgana for the disengage with the Black Shield. And if someone ever goes too low, Rengar pops his ulti, jumps in, and you die together with the Maokai.
Does Annie make a return here? Coming back to Worlds. Already have the support on the board, so it's kind of just a hover. And it wouldn't really be Acorn for the top lane, but Cassidy might as well be if he could pick that in. We've seen it a few times before. Also heard some inklings of a Galio within the practice.
Are you... What?
Very much so. I can't remember who said it, so I probably shouldn't be saying it, but I heard there were a lot of kills that came from that Galio when they were messing around. Could it be the counter that everybody's looking for? This is going to be crazy.
Here's the thing, though. There's a lot of physical damage on the side of Samsung White. So it's not like you can just stack him on the Galio and become unkillable. I mean, the Jace is going to destroy you.
The composition itself, doesn't really fit. So this is like Blue twice now, getting a few things that they want, but more taking away the Lucian. They're almost putting themselves on the back foot here as they come into these games, trying to play like White to stop them, and it's almost not working.
I mean, I'm really excited to see Galio.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I'm really, really, really confused right now.
I mean, so again, they do have this insane like AoE team fight combo. You have the Ryze, you have Kha'Zix, get the reset, and Lucian with all his AoE damage as well. So you have a great one-ball combo. Problem is, put a Black Shield on either the Jace or the Rumble or the Maokai, and they're going to stop the Galio ult instantly.
Absolutely. I mean, they're picking it into a Black Shield, right? So if there's a priority target they want to ultimate, they can't necessarily do that. And they're bringing a big AoE circle ultimate with Janna. It's like you're picking... That synergy isn't actually not that great.
And,
yes, you can do it together,
against the Maokai, who puts his ulti up and says, oh, you want to do magic damage? Hello, I'm going to reduce a lot of it.
Very tough stuff to do. Before the champs hit the rift, tell us who you think will come out on top. Tweet LOL Esports. Use the hashtag SSW win or SSB win. We'll be tallying up your votes shortly as we hop right into game 2. A lot of hopping going to be done in this game. We got a Rengar, we got a Kha'Zix. Who's going to splat the bug, or who's going to be taking down the cat?
We got a trinket that Looper forgot to buy, so he had to jump back real quickly and grab it. He's probably also a little bit shocked.
He's completely
Galio. He goes, what is this? What is life?
What is life?
I am still really shocked by this Galio pick. Yes, it's something they've been practicing, but is this just a hint of absurd desperation, or is this an ace in the hole for Samsung Blue? Varus didn't necessarily work. This is a whole other beast.
Yeah, and so Galio can start a fight if he has flash ready. The problem is, if the flash is gone, how is Samsung Blue ever going to start the fight against a Jace and a Corki who's just going to completely destroy you in the mid game with poke? We will have a one fight though.
White thinks getting in and making the impact is how it happens. They're able to get out of it, but the heal! That's the Dade, hitting the Ryze going early. That's going to be quick to a tier for him in the lane. And this is going to be a great start for Blue.
So that was a very uncharacteristic move by Samsung White, invading there blind without much ward setup. But it's honestly something they've been doing more and more of throughout Worlds. When we were watching all the replays, we're thinking, this is very unlike White. They're making these strange risks. And we thought maybe they'd end up doing that against Blue because they were trying to catch them a little off guard. I don't think they needed to, but it's a style they've been adapting, and it costs them there.
Level 1 tier, and you only have to use one flash and a ghost to actually get it here on the side of Samsung Blue. If we're looking at defensive summoners they might need in the lane.
Oh, man.
They can be very, very happy now with this start. I mean,
they're already...
That is insane for Dade in mid lane.
They're already a mid-game team. I'm still not sure how Galio fits into this mid-game.
We're going to have to wait and see what they can do.
But the other four make a whole lot of sense, and they're doing great so far here.
With that gust, he definitely can make it around the map quite fast. We'll see if the teleport and the roams come in from him. He'll be helping Spirit a bit in the jungle, as we see both junglers milling about with each other right now, or with their top laners, I should say. Coming into this one, 2 exhausts on the side of White, which may help if Blue gets overpowered, because they're not bringing any exhaust to the table. They're ready to go all in and keep that fight.
That will be dangerous if Dandy gets going.
Yeah.
But I do need to talk a little bit more about Galio.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while since we've gotten to talk about Galio. One thing that he will bring into the lane swap situation is a huge amount of ranged wave clear. Since they're going to be lacking it a little bit with Ryze, Galio is really, really hard to siege and dive. Obviously, because they're low on sustain, if they get hit by the siege, they hurt. But as far as actually diving, he is one of the best anti-dive tools ever. I remember before even the Season 1 World Championship, WCG 2010,
Man,
Galio brought a summoner spell that no longer exists in Fortify, and they could not end the game. You could not finish or siege against the Galio. Maybe that has something to do with Blue's late game here, bringing that type of siege from the top lane.
A shock blast here would hurt so badly. There it is, actually hits Acorn as well. Are they going to be able to get in?
Danger.
Dade's big.
This is real danger.
Dade is big.
That's a kill.
That was just not good.
Quick hit over. Acorn goes down. Dragon goes to Pawn. Pawn gets another one. What in the world is happening right now?
They can turn it around.
Clean it up. Dandy, they need to get out. One more hit to Heart. Heart's going to be up for a little bit. There's the twisted advance. Arcane smash. And it's going to come through for the kill. They will pick up. No. Looper. It's the auto attack coming in from Dade as he wastes the flash in mid lane. And we have Carnage to start off game 2.
As bad as that was for Blue, losing the Dragon to Jace, which was a total disaster, what happened afterwards is still pretty good for Blue. They have double buffs after all of this ends up happening. Really poor Dragon aggro swapping. Spirit didn't want to get low because he knew he had to smite, and no one else was in there to take the Dragon for him. They also didn't want to group for Shock Blast. Pawn with some really aggressive play, fantastic job picking up the double kills. But then the fight afterwards from White was a little bit ill-advised. Take what is given to you and don't try a little bit too hard. Deft gets the double buffs, Dade gets the double buffs. They both have them. They got 3 kills on the Rise despite the Dragon going down, and they still have an early game edge.
What amazing play to start this one off. Blue definitely wanted to get their hands dirty right off the bat, and they found it. White trying to come in. We have a 400 gold lead. That's about it as the lanes match up. Support's helping out the top laners, as it usually is in one of these little bit of swaps in early game Dragons. Clears the ward for Dandy. He gets that Dragon Death Brush out, and it looks like they're trying to set up a little bit of their own killer play here.
And because Samson White had all the members on the bottom side here fighting the Dragon, and Acorn went down so early.
Yeah.
Well, once he came back to life, top lane was being pushed in actually by Imp, so he could teleport up there. Notice how much farm he's already picked up just by getting there in the one-on-one lane. Even has Heart now to help him. If you want to go and contest the Dragon in the lane swap, you have to freeze the top lane. You cannot fast push it in, because then it opens up for the enemy top laner to go up there and just pick up all the farm and get extremely far ahead. So Imp should have been freezing the lane if they want to fight for Dragon.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Acorn's farm's not going to slow down here. Galio is really, really good at farming. When we used to see him a little bit in the mid lane as well.
Yeah.
300 CS was usually hit pretty early on in the game. And as a top laner here, who has been hot and cold as far as his ability to pick up farm, as far as Acorn is concerned, is going to be hot this game on Galio.
Dade already with that catalyst. It's going to be almost impossible to push him out of lane with the regen he's going to be getting. With all that action, we do see good wards placed in by White. 2 deep pink wards, at least 1 deep pink ward and a regular sight ward here to try and stop anything else Spirit can bring to the table. Right now he's down 10 CS. Dandy's trying to stay in the jungle, get himself going so he can start to impact the lanes.
And this is going to be such a scary mid-game now for Samson Blue, because Rise is going to get a very early rod of Agent.
Yeah.
He even had the tier from level 1. Stack it really early. It's going to be stacked faster than we normally see. You have the Lucian and the Galio as well to set up the fights here. The mid-game of Samson Blue is going to be extremely scary if they can start the fight,
exactly
which is
what
not
they
going to be
wanted.
the problem. They have to get in with the Galio to start the fight itself.
Right.
And speaking of starting fights, something that Dandy has done in almost all of his games when he gets a kill early is he'll rush boots of mobility. However, this game he's 0-2-1 and still rush those boosts of mobility. So I feel like he's trying a little bit extra hard to go around the map and create pressure. And if that fails, he's going to be falling really far behind.
Yeah, and it's what we see on Rengar for pretty much every single player now. You get early Mobi boots, you get your level 6, and now you can start setting up the ganks here, where people can react in time, because again, you have the mobility boots. You will just go in and clear the Wraith Camp here, because he has already actually a deep pink ward.
Is that going to get spotted by Kha'Zix?
Spawning Spirit, he did hang on it, he got it.
Really good. Usually that ward, or sometimes that ward can last almost the entire game, and I've seen it shut down so many junglers until 15-20 minutes into the game. Spirit checking that brush was really clutch. If you're a jungler out there and you're in your own jungle, just because it's a second or two, always check that brush, because if pink ward's there, it ruins your ganks.
It's always good. Good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Always consider your scene, right?
If you are
look around.
any player, when you walk in the bush, look at your character, and there's a pink ward. We see it too many times, even in professional games, where people just keep walking around it.
Not this time for Spirit. We'll see if he can keep things going. Pretty close to level 6
Mata knows,
himself.
man. Check the bush.
Yeah, well, check out this Galio, though. Yeah, I didn't do much.
A lot of focus on the bottom lane from Blue. That's the ultimate on Dandy. He's going to jump in. He does not know. Galio is there, but there's also no ultimate to come in from him. spot on moves coming in from White here to start to shut down a bit of that lead. They get a 600 gold lead out of that one. Heart's going to be a little lackluster on getting back out here, and we'll see what kind of pressure White can put down.
And there was a ward by Samsung Blue in the bush here to try and spot Dandy, but because of mobility boots, because he can pop the ulti so early and still catch up, he could just go in there, surprise Samsung Blue, get a very, very needed kill. Especially Imp here, he needs to catch up because there's already a BF Sword on Deft because of the kill and the assist he got before.
Depending on what Dade can do, 3-0-1 here. Maybe go back and buy some more damage or get that charged up on the tier a little bit more. Dragon in 40, that's going to be a big impact. But Pawn still can provide poke for this. It's something that crushed down Blue last game, and he still has that chase.
And so much of this will be on Dade if he can somehow close the gap towards Pawn. If he can't get into engagement range of Jace, it's just going to be a horrible time for the Samsung Blue team. No sustain with the Janna right here. And honestly, with this Dragon in 20 seconds, there has yet to be a gank to preempt it. And Acorn and Looper are both in the top lane without a teleport. I really wonder if we're going to be able to see some type of early pressure. No Rengar ultimate. Spirit evolved his W. The next Dragon will also probably decide a lot of this game.
So look here what Dade decided to do. Because the next Dragon is coming up, he didn't go back to finish his Rod of Ages. Instead, instant Magic Pen boots for the
immediate power.
He needed the power right now for this potential Dragon fight. Samsung Blue wants to win it, get the goal lead here, and that's why he gets the boots so early, and not a Rod of Ages like we normally see on Rise Place because they want to get it stacking as fast as possible.
Well, you saw in the old days of war, shutting down the general is what won you the fight, and this time they have not shut down the general. They're going to go ahead and set up around this Dragon. It looks like they're going to bait this one in as well. Pawn's going to clear out mid lane, and he'll be there.
All right, so Blue has vastly superior vision control. 3 pink wards in the river. If they have any type of catch potential, there's no flash on Galio. Dade does have both of his summoners. Dade would almost need to start this fight. It is so dangerous grouping around Dragon against the Jace poke. White is actually the team that has the potential to start the fight, but they don't have the vision to start the fight. It's a really strange situation we have here. Blue starts it to dare White to come in.
Slow play. They're kind of feeding into this one.
They're just trying to poke him down.
Looking for a dark binding that'll lock down the right target from both sides. The pincer comes in. It will not be stolen. That goes to Spirit, but it might be his life for the Dragon. We see Mata going down first. Then Dandy falls. It's going to be Acorn, but they have damage right now. No! It is going to be Dade going down. White is going to start stomping through this fight.
Oh,
what
nice.
a catch! What a blast! What a finish coming in. Spirit makes it out alive after the smite, but he's just about the only one.
So Samsung White here decides to split up actually. We had Corki down on the bottom side.
It's not over.
And with Pincer, Spirit, you're dead, my friend.
Uh-oh.
Gets a kill though. No, yes, he got.
All right.
Minions OP.
That fight was just Blue succumbing to the poke of Samsung White. The Corki Jace just getting enough damage down there. Blue bailed out a little preemptively and just was that close to being able to close out the fight, but they took too much poke.
See it again.
Yeah, so notice how Corki is down the bottom side here, landing the poke. Danny wants to engage as well. And what Samsung Blue is doing now is one of the most risky things you can do. Your jungler 100% focused on Dragon to try and get it, which means he's actually out of the fight. He doesn't do anything in the fight, and it's 4v5 in that case. And now Samsung White, because they landed the poke, managed to just clean it up from now. And notice this catch here. Looper flashing on, and then Shock Blast.
What synergy right there. Deft just couldn't escape. They're still getting some really nice farm onto Ryze and Lucian, which could be a nice mid-game power spike, but oh my god, Pawn.
It's not like Samsung White, yeah, exactly. And Samsung White's mid-game power spike with the poke they do have is just as good, if not even better, because they have so much poke on Jace and Corki, and because the Galio is going to have such a hard time engaging. You mentioned the wave clear earlier. The problem is, the Galio might be stuck in a side lane because he's the guy with teleport, and he won't be there to wave clear the mid lane.
And a huge factor coming into these fights, they go long. Those two exhausts are on the exact same timer from Pawn and Mata, shutting down the damage that Dade did bring to the table. So they got to be careful, and they got to hit the shots right to start from the side of Blue. Now trying to give the bottom turret a little breathing room. That's the calling out of Deft. We'll see how they reset this. They have good wards to stay safe here, but there's more wards from White to make more plays.
Yeah, this game has actually been a really big improvement by Blue by and large. They got the early game kills. They only had 3 kills in that entirety of the last game. And honestly, as far as their matchup against White, even though both teams have some mid-game power spikes, the fact that they're 13 minutes in, approaching 20, while not getting blown out, is really good for them. White has not been stretched in games that at all in Worlds, honestly. If it gets to 35 minutes and it's a really close game, we don't know how White's going to react. We've only seen games where White has a medium lead going into late game, and they look a little bit shaky just because they're so used to steamrolling teams. It's hard to pull back on the gas pedal a little bit when you're so used to going all out and always having it work. So Blue is actually in a pretty good place right now.
And a lot of it, in terms of like Samson White and their late game shot calling, when they were called Ozone and they had Dade on their team, they were actually really good in terms of the late game as well with the shot calling they had. But now Dade is on Blue, and suddenly they're the ones who plays the late game really well.
Did he steal it? No, I don't.
Oh, Dade got it here. Dade is both playing as a complete guard in the mid lane, and he's also doing most of the shot calling for his team, which is just insane that he's able to do it.
So much focus required for that position, as like you said, also 2 shot call. It helps when you're 4-1-1. The Rod of Aegis yet to be finished here.
That's a trap.
That's a big hit for him. Oh, he could take the, wait a minute. Okay, I was gonna say, where are you going? You need to help your AD carry, but it's Looper was teleporting down to make even bigger plays. Bulwark onto Spirit. Keep him healthy a little bit, or at least keep Acorn healthy. Dade trying to make a play here, walking straight through wards, almost hatching these ones as he goes over it. Will it be the attack? He's gonna get locked out. Whoa. What blast? Pawn spot on as he's threading these needles. And it's only gonna be harder as they're getting the focus kills they need onto Blue.
Dandy and Pawn are so good together, knowing exactly the range with which Jace can follow up. And Spirit runs into a big cat.
It's gonna, I feel like if he hit that or heard that hit, he might be going a little hard, but his flash was down, so he stays safe. 1:30 on to Dragon. This is what happened with White before. They started getting into Blue's jungle, and they were not able to come back from the side of Blue. Seeing that pink ward, looks like Pawn's gonna get his hands on it, take it down as well. It's hard for Blue to even defend the wards they're throwing down.
Just such a nice setup as well by Samson White, knowing that Dade had roamed down to the bottom lane. That's why they didn't chase the kills, and also knowing he's gonna return to the mid lane. And Danny was just sitting ready, popped the ulti, got onto him, shock blast as well, and Danny could just finish the job here. So just a very nice setup as a team all around, not even over chasing in the bottom lane.
And White is farming up some incredibly large players here. Looper is going to be a huge problem on Maokai, specifically come the next Dragon fight. It doesn't look like Blue has enough damage to deal with Looper at all. They've lost the top turret. They need to get vision control around Dragon again. Somehow Blue would have to control Dragon with wards and avoid the poke if they want to avoid falling farther and farther behind. But it's going to be so difficult knowing that Dandy can strike from anywhere and knowing that the Pawn poke is so great.
And Blue buff right now helping to charge up that man. Oh, one more shot from him. Spirit in a bad spot right now, but they see Deft coming in. Culling comes out, the exhaust on Spirit coming back into the fight, keeps him out, keeps the rest of the team kind of wondering. Chaos out of the lanes, White has more time to run free.
Once again, Dandy looking for Dade.
Oh, that's still damage that Dade has. Dandy not really sure what was going to happen there, but he definitely took about 75% of his HP.
Dade there is a total lifesaver as far as Dragon is concerned. Getting Dandy that low will just absorb a lot of the pressure that the rest of the team was giving there.
Cool little setup though. Dandy running in, he throws his E at the Wolf Camp to get the 5 stacks for the next one to be the snare. And there's even 2 pink wards too, so he didn't know where Dade exactly was, he just knew he was nearby. Ended up actually face checking him and taking a lot of damage, falls back to base. He will have ulti for next fight.
Give Dandy Rengar and he will find a way into your jungle without you knowing, especially when White has the lead and they can start putting these wards down. Already see a bit of a movement down towards the bottom side. A nice binding, Soul Shackles. That was a nice hit. Monsoon's not going to do enough. That'll be a last few shots. Can he hit it? It's going to be a bit. Oh, he doesn't even want to try. Wants to solidify it with flash. Kill secured.
Because Samson White knows they can now go Dragon, 5 members. Imp didn't want to try and hit the rockets here. Just use the flash, get your kill.
Still Valkyrie.
Exactly, and go straight onto this Dragon here. For Samson Boone has to fight 4 members.
Acorn is not even level 11. The control from White is just too great right now. They are starting to do the same thing to Blue that they did in game 1. They are catching them in so many positions. They are controlling the vision of the map, and they're just winning a lot of the skirmishes because they start the fights and they end the fights properly.
Winning a lot, now 2 and 3 on those Dragons, and that one was pretty uncontested as they went into it, which is not spelling good things for Blue. They definitely have to wait this one out. Mid-game power spikes may not be used the way they want them, and that hit 2 members. That's maxing over just about 1,000 damage you just hit across 2 members. Pawn did the most damage last game. He's about to do it again.
Yep.
Oh!
Spirit.
Your jungle is not your jungle, says Samsung White. They're going to try to take it back here. They said you got to pay rent if you're going to stay. Idol of Duran goes down. They are not able to get too much off of that, but they do get a kill over to Dade. Still the fight continues. Pawn comes in with the jump. That just looks like he is going to chew everything up. One more hit. The double kill for Pawn as he gets a kill on Dade and Acorn, and he just gets bigger and bigger. 7-2-4.
And this has been the story of the series here for Samsung Blue. They are a little bit out of sync. They find the fights a little bit late, and then White is punishing them again and again. This time, Dandy's Rengar does not have mercy at this point. He will continue to invade Spirit. He shuts them down. Acorn ulted the air, which really hurt them for the follow-up fight, and Pawn punished.
Kind of useless after ult has been used already for him. And this Jace pick, they cannot afford to give Samsung White Jace again. He's too good in these early mid-games fights we see. The poke he can do as well, the setup you can do with the Rengar where you snare a target and land a shock blast. Every single time we have a fight, and Jace is part of it, it just goes so heavily in favor of Samsung White. This obviously is the Spirit going down very early because Samsung White is controlling the jungle, knowing they want to come in and contest it.
It's a dead target.
That is a dead target.
Acorn needed to save his ultimate for later on in this fight. Obviously,
look at
hindsight is 2020. He gets so much poke down that even when he jumped in, if Acorn had his ultimate, he would have just been taunting himself into his own doom. It's been a very ineffective Galio pick in so many ways.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we saw that into the Jace and into the Black Shield.
Yeah.
It's really hard for Acorn to pull off positive plays.
Almost feels like Samsung Blue is trying to force new picks to surprise Samsung White in the way, like the Varus last game we saw it here where they wanted him to play Twitch to ban Tristana, and then get the Varus, they sent Yasuo to try and just immobile AD carry, land the ultis, kill him instantly. But there was a Janna which destroyed everything. And now you have a Galio pick against the Jace mid lane who's just gonna destroy you.
Speaking of that Janna as well, during that replay, Heart actually went down. So now 0, 6, and 8, they're just feeding themselves that much more on the side of Samsung White. Acorn thinks he's safe to 1v1, but Dandy's always everywhere.
Nobody is safe on Samsung Blue right now at any point. When we do a replay, a player dies. When they go to check a war, and a player dies. It's 18 kills in 20 minutes. It's almost the same pace that White had in game 1. They are completely picking apart Blue in every facet of the game. This is the fastest I've probably ever seen a team play. The way Samsung White is moving around the map, the way they're finding catches. It is absolutely almost too fast to follow with everything they're doing.
It'll be a Soul Shackles for Mata. He's getting in the right spot. Looper knows he can just put himself out in the front as a tank right now. That he is. The Black Shield goes down. They lock down Spirit so he can't even get close with a smite. Another Baron in 2 games. This one for White again. And it looks like Deft is just doing what he can in the bottom lane, trying to soak up the resources as usual and be big for the late game.
Yeah, so we're back in the same situation. Samsung Blue just needs to try and get whatever goal they can on the map. I mean, being it give up a Baron just to get a tower in the bottom lane, you pretty much have to take the trade because you are just falling so far behind. There's, again, so many engaged options for Samsung White here just to force the fights. Rengar and Jace needs to be taken away from Samsung White next game.
Yeah.
But Samsung Blue is banning the Alistar every single game. So you have no more bans left.
Right.
And a Zillion. And you probably don't want to give him Twitch. And they've been banning Trist. There was just a little bit too much on Samsung Blue's plate right here. And it was a red flag coming into this pick and ban versatility. But besides that, it's not like Samsung White is just picking these ridiculously strong team compositions and completely outclassing them. They're also just playing way better.
For sure. 100%. Every single skirmish we see goes in favor of Samsung White. If we ignore the early game part with their first blood for Dade and the Dragon, which even actually went over to Samsung White itself. Ever since that, every single skirmish, 2 games in a row now, heavily in favor of Samsung White.
Well, we can see Blue trying to set up just a little bit to get something in their favor, but poked out every time. They don't even have enough sweepers to clear all of these wards right now.
It's a 0 sustain team outside of a Janna ultimate into mid-game.
Oh my gosh.
There is no way they can stand there and take hits.
This is the perfect moment for Samsung White to group when you have Trinity Force completed on your AD carry, on your Corki, you have the Magic Pen as well, and your tier is fully stacked on Jace. You can just add in a BF Sword and a Last Whisper as well, and you can just start completely destroying people from max range. And there's no way they can ever get onto you. There's no flash yet for Acorn. He needs a few more seconds before it's ready. No. And he will even need to have to flank around them. And Samsung White is just going to place walls on the side to see him coming.
The thing that is so great about Samsung White is their ability to close games, to completely crush opponents once they have a small advantage. They don't let teams get to the late game. They don't let any of their weaknesses show. They are compensating for them so well. Blue picked what they thought was a superior mid-game team with a little bit of a late-game edge. White is not giving them a chance to even reach those power points, and it's arguable who would even have the better late-game team once it gets there.
Another uncontested dragon, as it should be. You don't really want to fight a baroned up Samsung White, 10,000 gold in the lead right now. They're just trying to clear what they can. Righteous Gust by Acorn so he can get back to some lanes, get some farm in. You see the pings on the pink wards. They say we need to start shutting down that vision, but it's just going to move farther and farther into your base. They're getting the waves pushed up. We saw Dandy pushing the bottom wave as well, so that's going to be trouble in a little bit here for Samsung Blue. A lot to consider for them. So much on their plate. It's really the question, how well can they multitask coming up here, because they're going to have so much to work for.
Yeah, they've been using Deft now just to go between the lanes and try and get towers for some global gold, which isn't too bad. I mean, the Baron itself was going to be pretty much impossible for Blue to fight over because they're so far behind. Also why we see the static ship and attack speed on the boots for Deft, simply just to take down towers and push waves as fast as possible, where we often see Infinity Edge into Ghostblade instead if you want to fight.
That Muramana already finished up for Pawn. He's had it for quite a while. We do see finally coming out for Dade. That tier was about 50 stacks lower when Pawn hit his Muramana. He's had it for quite a while, and the blue buff has always been circling him. He is ready to keep these fights going. The wards they have allow them to do all their damage from the fog and just have Dandy come in to tear people apart with the rest of the team.
And I think there's no reason for them to deviate from that plan for these next sieges. They still have an exposed middle turret in the middle lane. Not even talking about the base yet. They can just poke and prod and destroy these turrets. They even have some flank poke coming in. Wave clear is easy. At this point, Blue is very low on options. I wouldn't be too surprised if they tried a desperation fight to come back.
One of the problems without having that teleport, but Acorn being here, is he has to walk up to this fight. He's got to hit one of those smites off his Q and see if he can get himself in for an ultimate. Right now, it could be locked out by a twisted advance to calling the only thing used, but that's Dandy. He wants to be going in on this one. We'll not see that ward, but the turret goes down once again uncontested. We actually saw Imp attack that, taking a few turret shots to his face. You can see how powerful they feel and how much they're pushing that power to the max here.
And you just saw Dandy here being ready in case Samsung Blue wanted to go for the desperate play and try and engage here, because he already popped the ulti. He was already in a good position to jump onto Deft in the back line here, onto Dade, and lock them down. But obviously Samsung Blue had to give up the tower, didn't want to try and fight just yet. Problem is, Samsung White is not going to give up. They're going to keep poking.
It is such a performance here, but they catch Pawn. Let's see what happens.
That's the flash for the Idle Duran. We were saying it had to happen, but it's an all-in. You have to get out. Spirit with a nice jump to the back. He could have that reset to get out, but the mana's quite low. Dandy's trying to get the fight on. Has Vision in the brush. Now into the base. Dade goes down. Mata's going to pick up doubles there. Tries to throw a torrent. He cuts him down out of the air, peeling his wings right off. The inhibitor turret going to go down 26.5 minutes in.
I mean, that's why Dandy's Rengar is so legendary. Even though he doesn't have a fantastic scoreline this game, he's probably the least fed member of the team. He can still make a remarkable play. That was close to being a bit of a turnaround fight for Blue there, because it would have been 3 for 3 if they pull that one off. Dandy pulls off a miracle, makes it 2 for 4. White finishes the inhibitor. Let's see that again.
Yes,
one more time.
Onto the xPeke. The Black Shield for Mata is not in time to actually stop all this damage, and there's no tenacity for JC because there's cooldown reduction boots, and Imp standing in the front line. We have seen this before from Imp.
Potential weaknesses for Samsung White. Imp's late game positioning is somewhat suspect. That cost him in this fight. But honestly, let's check out this Dandy duel. He gets his 5th point in ferocity with the Bola, heals as he jumps on top of him, and then finishes him with the Q. He had that plan when he was finishing that, and he just knew exactly what to do.
Some very amazing half-second plays here. It's a game of milliseconds right now between these two teams, and huge props to Looper. Double flash in from Blue on that, and he already had Vengeful Maelstrom on to mitigate so much damage that they brought to the fight.
That is so big. The Maokai, 20% damage reduction against so much AoE damage here from Samsung Blue. That pick itself should normally signal you don't go Galio against it, because he's going to pretty much mitigate all your damage.
And they have the right builds, too. That lock into the Iron Solari, bringing in the magic resistance. The Mikhails for anybody that's dangerous. And 2 of them. So if you're spread apart, you're still getting it. Because we've seen these fights on either edge of the map right now, on our screen, rather. And they're just going all out.
They are bypassing the Galio counter dive. I mean, with a catch on to Pawn, Luke will walk right through it because he has so much itemization to shield him from that pain. And the Baron is up, the vision control is not there, the poke and catch potential from White is. Rengar is very scary in the jungle, and Blue is scared.
You can say that again.
Yeah. Just remember again, the magic resist buff you do get, it is unique, so it's only you only get the 20 magic resist from the Locket here, but it's simply because if they split up the fight, they have it played now.
There it is again. The Barons that they usually get, and that they will get one more time. Jumping in on a Spirit. Who does he want, though? Looks like he's gonna get Spirit, because he's the one that stays close after Deft uses Relentless Pursuit. The chase is on, and we were talking about these long fights. It's Blue trying to run home now. Run for the hills on this one, and White's gonna get what they want. They don't have too much mid, so it's all about the bottom lane right now.
They are running for their lives, but even if they manage to retreat here, there is no way they can defend their turrets successfully. White in total control.
And man, I just went back on my screen just to see Danny's engage here from the Baron.
Right.
He jumps in with his ulti. He knows that Spirit is going to jump away. So what he does, instead of trying to follow him, instantly he steps into the bush just next to him. So he gets to jump himself and follows him over. Like, you cannot give that guy Rengar. And don't give them Jace either.
You can't give them a lot of things, unfortunately. However, there's only 3 bans in League of Legends, and Blue would need about 15 at this point with how well they're playing. Their champion pools really do seem limitless. They haven't been challenged to Worlds. That's the thing we were wondering coming into this.
Yeah.
They were playing so many different things. What are they hiding? Still don't know, because everything
they were hiding the Rengar,
works.
but now it's here.
Everything they have done works.
For them to go that far without showing the Rengar, having different things to play, has been absolutely amazing. We see Worlds become this amalgamation of strategies because you can't just come in playing what you played throughout the year. Everybody plays differently.
Think about it. You're Samsung White's coach. This takes some guts. Your jungler's best champion in Dandy. Let's not play it until semifinals.
Yeah.
Right? Walking into all these games, just having the confidence you can play with your second best jungler. Pawn hardly played Jace, but it is probably his best champion here at Worlds based on what we're seeing. Imp as well. Doesn't even break out Corki pretty much at all, and it looks great.
Here's the Rengar jump.
Look at this, how he just steps up into the bush because he knows Spirit is going to jump away. He doesn't want to try and follow him by just running. That is just, it looks very simple, but it's such a fast reaction, and just knowing your champion. The fact you just instantly, into the bush, jump.
Yeah, he has pretty fast reactions. I mean, we saw his heal while Spirit was jumping over his head, getting the heal before he could deal damage. And it really is what Riv said earlier. Split second, even millisecond decisions that White is just pulling off here against Blue. And now with the 17,000 gold lead, even if they're a little bit slow on their decisions, I still think they win these fights.
Once again, not needing a minion wave to just go at the turret. Forcefully throwing them off, but now they have the minion wave, so it becomes that much easier. They're really just getting the advantage with everything they do. The wave control we talked about before, very much so coming into play as they're about to get a huge one towards that bottom lane with super minions coming in. All the focus here on the top, and Spirit down to half. 1 shock blast.
Yeah, we're gonna need an all or nothing fight here for Samsung Blue. They do have all the summoners ready. They have the ultis. Can Akon actually get an engage here? Black Shield comes up from Mata in time onto someone, like either Jace or Maokai. They can stop the ulti instantly from the Galio. Otherwise, it's basically the only way they can win. Just try and blow up people with your wombo combo AoE. But
yeah, it's just their support can't even be involved in any of their wombo combo AoEs. Acorn flashes in. Jan is there for the disengage. That level of their composition doesn't have absolute synergy, and Dan catches them again
on the Relentless Pursuit before he could even use it. Dandy coming out with huge plays again. They're gonna run through the base one more time on this one. Just a few minutes extra from game 1. 32.5 minutes. The Nexus will fall once again, and Samsung White takes it to game 3, 2-0.
And in this game, I mean, the Galio pick itself, we keep talking about it, and it just made Samsung Blue's comp so weak. Because the Galio pick, it didn't bring anything at all. I mean, the first 4 picks were great, and just look at this. This is normally the guy's Spirit, who's the guy cheering up his teammates.
No, they are
He's completely...
not doing well emotionally after that game. The play thus far from White has been absolutely legendary. 2 spectacular Jace games. Really, the performance from the whole Samsung White team has been legendary in the semifinals, especially when we consider that this is their 3rd attempt at Samsung Blue in a best-of-5, and they're really trying to make this one count. Blue really needs to regroup.
Yeah, and I mean, I just remember with the interview after quarterfinals with Hard, I believe it was, and he was actually saying himself, they're kind of afraid of White now, because they're just looking better and better and better, and now you start up by being absolutely destroyed in 2 games. That is scary here, and it becomes so much harder now to kind of regain your focus and start believing in your own ability. Because you're going to start doubting every single player and every single pick you have had so far by simply saying, it's not working, we have to change. Everything needs to change suddenly.
I think first off, Blue probably came into this best-of-5 feeling like big underdogs. I mean, even Spirit, when he was in that feature, was saying last year it wasn't even in his mind that he was going to be at Worlds, right? 4 of the 5 members of Samsung White were at Worlds last year, right? So it's a much more experienced path for them. It might even mean a little bit more to them. But the big thing is the 2 panic picks that Blue has tried to pull out, the Varus and the Galio, those are not really congruent with their normal strategies. And they are, in a sense, desperation picks, trying to catch them off guard. And against the best team in the world, or the best teams in the world, desperation picks so seldom work.
Well,
we're seeing that